You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, it's AFTERBUZZ TV's Californication After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Californication After Show.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome. I'm really digging that new intro created by our own announcer, Sir Richard Wentworth. Thank you, Richard, for that one. I am your host, Phil Svitek, and no co-host this week. I'm not even going to try it at this point. Again, I'm just such a fan of the show, and I know we must continue it. And unfortunately, no one wants to do the show with me. Right now, it's 1:30 a.m. That was the time I could book myself into the studio. So, nevertheless, it is me, and we're more than halfway through the season now, officially. I mean, last week was the midpoint now with episode 7. We're on to the second half, so this is Season 5, Episode 7, titled Here I Go Again. Very, very symbolic title. Even before I watched the episode, I saw that title, and I was like, okay, the way the season has been progressing, it's, you know, Hank can't get out of his funk, everything's changing around him except for him, and so he, as always, takes the same actions. And you know what? The irony is that he actually didn't. He was obviously in tonight's episode trying to protect Richard of all things. Yeah, it just never ever works out for Hank. And what made it tough was, you know, as we see in the beginning of the episode, he is actually trying to change. He wakes up Karen, and the first thought is, oh my God, you took advantage of me. We slept together. And he says, no, I actually didn't. It would have been too easy. Not his exact words, but I'm paraphrasing. And so it was really interesting to get that. I mean, for me, we didn't get a lot in this episode in terms of, you know, characters and things like that. It was really stripped down, which I enjoyed. I thought by doing that, it made it a really, really fun and focused episode. Not that the other ones were bad or anything like that, but I like the shift in pace that they always kind of go through, especially having come off of, you know, last time I described how, you know, when Karen comes to Hank's house, what a nice moment that was, and how it was so hard to describe in words. And so, you know, you obviously want that feeling to continue, and yet, you know, in the back of your mind, it won't, because we still have 6 more episodes to go, and they have to kind of go back and forth on that whole thing. And in many ways, it's a slightly, you know, the action of, you know, Richard coming over to Hank to see Hank is cliched, but what made it work was the way in which the writers kind of executed it, you know, by Hank sort of having that consciousness to say, you know what, Richard's here. I'm not necessarily doing this for Richard. I'm doing it for the better good of Karen and Richard. And I mean, cut out Karen from that equation and you would have never done it. Obviously, we know this. But, you know, I don't even know too many guys that would, you know, to protect Richard, to make sure that their marriage can continue, because he knows, at least I think he knows that right off the bat, as soon as Richard's there and he says, you know, I woke up next to a woman, that Richard slept with her. And obviously it parallels to what, in fact, Hank did, and it's the fact that he did not sleep with her. And in some sense, at first, as I was watching it, I thought, okay, no, he's only doing this to protect himself, to because if Richard found out that that they even spent the night together, I believe that would have caused a rift, or some sort of problem, and he didn't want Karen to go through that. But obviously, it manifested itself into something much, much deeper. And we go to find out that I really like how Hank and Richard are sort of being brought closer and closer together with how they interact and things like that. And so they go to Holly's house to return, or to get his wedding ring back, because he knows he has to have it. And of course, there we find out the story that Richard did in fact sleep with Holly. And in terms of her as an actual character, being a stripper and things like that, I'm not too versed in that world. Maybe KWOW. And I say KWOW being Keven Undergaro, my co-host. KWOW is his, Jersey Shore name here at AFTERBUZZ TV. Perhaps he can go out and into the strip clubs and find out for us the nature of strippers and how they act. But for the most part, I don't know too many that take people home. But you know what? It's always a guy's fantasy, and so why not? I really enjoyed that, and obviously it thickens the plot. And what made it work and was funny and such a great episode is that she is absolutely heinous. She's not the typical stripper that you think of, who you are trying to sleep with. It's the stripper, in fact, that you're trying to avoid, and that's the one that Richard does get involved with, and then he can't get rid of her. But again, Hanks does step up, and he's trying to do the right thing for Karen. He really loves Karen, and without Karen, he wouldn't have gone through these actions. And I should have mentioned this a bit earlier. I also like the fact that how it parallels that Hank woke up with someone. Well, first off, Karen and Richard both slept elsewhere. They both woke up to the opposite gender, but they both made two completely different actions. Whereas Richard slept with someone, Karen did not. And obviously, in terms of Karen, it shows a change in Hank, because Hank did not. He could have very easily slept with Karen, and then that just goes to show the shallowness of Richard, because Richard has no emotional attachments to Holly, whereas with Hank and Karen, you could have easily, been like, okay, you know what the action of cheating was wrong, but they have such a history that it's their love breaking through, or whatever sappiness you want to call it. And then obviously Hank's actions kind of continue all along when Holly shows up to return the wallet, which I thought was a very, very exciting device, and it just, the tension built up because of that, where Karen invites Holly and Hank to go inside, and then he's stuck there, and Hank has to kind of regulate the flow of what's going on, make sure that he keeps up this lie, and that Richard, in fact, does not, the truth isn't told about him. And I like how, Tyler knows the truth. For those of you who've been listening, you've heard me say this countless times, and I'm sure you might be bored of it, but, Tyler is Hank 2.0. And so, of course, Tyler knows that this isn't Hank's girlfriend, that she's, in fact, someone that Richard got with or whatever. So I thought that was very interesting, and it obviously made for some very, very funny moments when they're all talking together. But again, layered within each of the one-liners or whatever it may be, the dialogue, there's always something so much deeper. And again, it goes to the change part. You know, where well, before I get there, I do want to talk Becca and Holly dancing. I thought was hysterical. I really enjoyed it because Becca would be the type to learn dancing from a stripper or stripping. I guess you don't even have to call it dancing. And then it just, you know, in 2 seconds, it goes from just kind of this nice moment to a cat fight between Karen and Holly. And what was interesting was the fact that Hank, you know, in that moment, because it's so fast, he's torn. He doesn't exactly know what to do. Obviously, he wants to protect Karen, but he's under this illusion that Holly is his girlfriend, even though it's so blatant. I mean, he has no attachments for her, and anything that he says or shown thus far in front of them, and yet, you know, he has to continue this facade of, okay, you know what, she's my girlfriend, and so, you know what, Karen, can you step off for 1 second, like get off my girlfriend as you guys are fighting. But he doesn't. He's just kind of dumbfounded and searching for the right answer. And again, this is split seconds because it's all happening so fast. And then, you know, what it leads to is, which I thought was nice, because so many times we get Hank leaving a location and him kind of having the last laugh, even though he's the one that's caused all this, etc. And then Becca really calls him out. You know, oh, okay, so this is just showing us that you know better. Well, you know what? No, not this time. Let it be a lesson to you that we're still gonna stay here, and we're in fact we clean up after your messes, and you know what? You are F up, Dad. And again, what makes it so tough is that he, in fact, you know, for better or for worse, Hank does care, and he's actually helping out the one guy who is completely in the wrong. That guy being Richard. I mean, Richard has now slept with Holly, and yet Hank's trying to cover that up because he knows how much pain it will bring, and yet there's Richard. You know, he screams at Holly, and then Hank's like, no, she's my girlfriend. Richard gets that hint, and then immediately goes for the bottle. So, you know, if we're going to talk about people changing, you can't say Richard's changing, I guess, necessarily, but he is at least reverting. So rather than changing, he's reverting back to his drinking ways, and obviously, Karen doesn't like it, and we'll find out how long she can sort of be with Richard, because she does not like it. The drinking, of course. So that's kind of it for the Hank storyline. Again, not a lot happened, but everything within the stuff that did happen is so layered, and so it's just always so tough to kind of decipher that stuff. I mean, they literally, one can argue, right on 5 levels all at once in terms of the writing. And, you know, it could be as simple as someone saying hi to somebody, and yet it's so deeply rooted. And you know what? Speaking of, like, interpretation, layering of dialogue, the, you know, Runkle's storyline with Lizzy, the babysitter, and their sort of perspective on the story of how Lizzy, you know, was in the pool and things like that. Again, same kind of dialogue, but layered in so many different ways, where, you know, it could be thought of as sexual, it could be, et cetera, et cetera. And obviously, Stu has his own interpretation of what happened, and Lizzy has hers. And I thought it was very nice to get Marcy back into the fold. I think she's been gone for far too long. And we sort of see her perspective, and you know, it gets Runkle and her interacting, which I really enjoyed. Let's see. in terms of, oh, I have to say this in terms of what Stu said. How he's made both successful and big budget movies and then successful indie movies, and been a studio head twice or whatever he said. But Marcy's the one person that he can't actually contain, and Runkle calls him out on it, that you are in fact pussy whipped. Which in many ways I think Stu is. But I love Stu and Runkle nonetheless because they bring so much comedy to the table. And nothing was more funnier than Runkle finally being able to sleep with Lizzy. This, of course, after the fact that he finds her naked in the shower. Which again, I mean, it's so weird in terms of Lizzy and the way she works. I mean, in many ways, I will side with Marcy on this. Like, who does that? Lizzy, just first off, the door was open. In the shower, with the pool thing, you're in an open area. So I mean, how many times you gonna kind of make the same mistake or whatever? I don't know. But I'm very proud of Runkle because he stood up to Marcy. He got laid, and then Lizzy got her job back. So again, not a lot there in terms of to discuss, but just very, very funny overall. Why don't I head into a commercial, and then we'll, or at least I will, discuss predictions for next week.
AfterBuzz TV.
Hi, I was once like you, a lazy, angry loner whose only joy was watching TV and surfing the net. And, like you, after I'd see one of my favorite TV shows, I'd be so excited and have so many questions that I'd actually have to talk to my douchebag coworkers about it at the water cooler. Then I discovered AfterBuzzTV.com. AfterBuzz TV produces after-show webcasts and podcasts for TV series of all kinds, like post-game wrap-up shows for all your favorite TV shows. AfterBuzz TV hosts are industry insiders who break down episodes of shows, take calls from fans, and interview cast and crew from each series, with over 60 different after shows, from Boardwalk Empire to American Idol to Vampire Diaries to Real Housewives, and more. Now, after a night of TV, I can ignore my stupid coworkers, who I hate, and go straight to my desk and watch or listen to all my favorite AfterBuzz TV after shows, and have all the TV fan interaction I need. Thank you, AfterBuzz TV.
AfterBuzz TV. What do you want to buzz about? And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
So next week, the seed was planted in today's episode that Tyler wants a script read by Hank, and Hank agrees to read at least 10 pages. And, next week, that's what Becca's bugging him about, to make sure that he does. We didn't see Kali or Samurai Apocalypse in this episode, but, I'm kind of glad that we didn't. We took a nice break, but I don't know if we'll see much of them next week. They certainly didn't tease it. So I guess in episode 9 they will. Kind of have to, by nature, return to that sort of storyline. Right now we're just spending more time with Hank and Karen and going back to that world. In terms of Lizzy and Runkle, I'm excited to see what that brings. I don't know if they'll continue because, as she said, she's now back being employed, and so she can't really do that. But regardless, I'm just excited for another episode. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're kind of breezing through the season. At least it seems like it. But I am enjoying it. I like. We had some doubts about coming in 3 years into the future with season 5, but I like where they've gone, and so I can't wait to do the next episode. I'll see you guys next week.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AFTERBUZZTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AFTERBUZZ TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.